YouTube, this is IQ Domino coming back at y'all with another motherfucker bang of a video. So, today we're going to be going over what do black people think about white people. Me personally, I think y'all a little wild, a little crazy. But for the most part, y'all good people. Y'all a little crazy, but y'all good people. Y'all probably feel the same way about it.
I went to a school that was predominantly black when I was growing up. And when I first saw the first white kid, I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying?
I act differently around people who aren't my race.
Strongly disagree.
3, 2, 1.
I think the most important thing is just to authentically be yourself, and I don't think being around people who don't look like you should be a reason for you to act any different.
Yeah, for me, I guess it's like within the confines of like the workforce.
I was thinking code switching.
Because if you show up to a meeting talking like this, they're like, uneducated, got it. They'll use the slang to sell the products and to tweet and to get the clicks and stuff, but like as soon as a worker's there who's authentically from the area and talking like people from the area, it's like, ooh, we don't like that. You know, because it's always like, well, be yourself until you yourself. And then it's like, ooh, I don't like yourself. Unfortunately, in a lot of the areas of work, it's like you almost have to like lie to these people.
That's a fact,
like,
though.
I'm a robot. I'll like, I love.
That's a fact, though. I ain't gonna say that I do that, but it is a fact that you do get treated differently when they actually see that you are hood. You know what I'm saying? When they see you from the hood, they can recognize you from the hood. Or if you dress a certain way, they gonna automatically judge you off the way you dress. Now, I'm not a person who sag my pants or nothing like that, but it's a fact. You know what I'm saying? That is just society. That's society in total, though, because you see a black guy that speak proper. Just because the dude speak proper, you would think that he not about nothing. You would think that he not trying to fight, not trying to do any of that. But he probably could be the most ignorant motherfucker out of everybody, just because he still speak proper. They got a dude who hood as fuck, but one of the most intelligent niggas that I know. But you would never automatically assume that just off the way that he dressed and the way he talk. You would never assume that. But that's just how things is. Now, me personally though, I don't think that's something that you should change yourself. You should just accept the fact that people around you don't like you for who you are and move accordingly. That's what I
Love
do.
your company.
Yeah.
You know, it's sick. It's sick. But it's like, you have to get,
It's
know.
true. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like code switching is one part, but also like there's certain parts in my own community that aren't accepted, that when I'm around different people that look like me, I can express myself differently. Like, I feel like if I talk a little proper, sometimes I get a little slack for it from my side of the family. But when I go out into the world, sometimes I like EDC, I like tech
You know what's
music.
crazy, bro? You know what's crazy? Like, in the black community, it really be the older generation that really be, like, just because she talk proper, they'll treat her so differently than a woman that's just straight hood. Or depending on the people though. Like, the older generation are so particular about that, in my eyes, in my opinion. Like, they're very particular, more than our generation is. Cause I grew up around black people. Black people I grew up around, they were proper, they was hood. It was all kind of different kind of black people. And even when I go out to different places, I still run into proper black people. I run into very hood black people. I run into, people who speak straight Ebonics. But at the end of the day, it's just on some shit like, I judge them from their character, because I know somebody that's proper as fuck, but they be slimy. And I know motherfuckers that's hood, and they really be good-hearted people. So it's like, you can't really base it 100% off of how people behave or how they talk. You gotta just know their character. If you don't know their character, your opinion low-key shitty. Your opinion don't matter.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how I
For
really
me,
look
I
at
feel
shit.
like it has nothing to do
If you
with
ain't judging
race
people off their
and more has
character,
to
you
do
ain't judging them. You judging the persona of shit that you experienced before them. That's not me. That's how I look at things. Like, y'all judging me off of how I talk, but they got motherfuckers who talk like me, and they're better people than the person that's trying to correct me. So, I'm not finna change myself to fit anywhere.
just being professional. Like if I'm at work, then I'm obviously going to be a little more
And
proper.
there's another thing. You can be professional, like he said, and still have some type and still be yourself. Like me personally, I can talk the way I'm talking. I don't have too much slang in my vocabulary. I ain't got too much slang or too many ebonics in my vocabulary. But I'm not about to just change up my whole way of speaking for the sake of trying to. I'm not.
You know, a little bit less slang and all of that, and just more careful with my rhetoric. But I don't
still
think it has
say
to do with
slang, though.
race.
That's the crazy.
Only
And they
thing
understand
I
it.
will say is like I work in political media, so I'm on camera a lot. So people already know who I am and what I'm coming with. But that being said, it's like when I'm around other black people, because I'm a Republican, sometimes they tend to be really standoffish with me or think that I don't understand the culture and all this different stuff. So sometimes I have to feel it out like, are these people who are just gonna call me an Uncle Tom? Or are these people like I can actually just keep it all the way real with? So that's the only time.
I ain't like any nigga who wearing curry with jeans is already kind of like. Any nigga who wearing sports shoes with jeans and shit, and like, it's kind of like, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't run in Jordans. You can't run in boots. You can't run in Nikes. You can't run in no designer shoes. It don't look like you can just run in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always see saying that. Like look at my boy. He got on boots. I keep in mind. I just talk about people swag. I don't know where they from. I don't know where they from,
different
man.
because of race.
You know, I also.
Man, this video gonna be too long if I keep talking.
And I honestly feel like I've definitely benefited from being able to be in spaces where I've been able to be authentically myself, and I definitely think that's a privilege, especially where I grew up is just is something that's regularly happening that people have to go through. But personally, I think I've been able to, especially now in the business side and now my new workplace, I feel like I don't have to adapt my language to make people respect me or understand where I'm trying to come from, you know?
At what point is it like, damn, we can't even really have conversations without buttoning up and being like, oh, this is how we have to talk like this, because so they'll listen, or regard us as.
But do you
people,
think that's racial, or do you think that's
I don't know that it's, because I'm right, I know where you're going.
You see me,
I know, I think, I know exactly where he's going. I don't think it's intrinsically rooted in race, but I think just the way the social genetic makeup of people are, I think just by way of people of specific races speaking a certain way or being perceived a certain way, it tends to be more often than not rooted in race, based off of urban Black Americans.
Yeah.
I think most people have barriers.
What he said was, sometimes people are a product of their environment.
They put up when they get introduced to a new group. I went on disagree instead of strongly disagree because there have been situations where I get introduced to a group of someone of a different race. And yeah, at first I'm pulled back, but once I get comfortable with them, those walls come down, and then, yeah, that's where my true self comes out.
For me, it really depends because
he like he a cool dude.
I've been shooting music.
He like my homeboy, dude that I know, Prejudice.
So I really need to basically adopt myself to become a Black person. So for me, it's not a problem meeting new races. I always vibe and chill with people.
Do you think adapting yourself to those different ethnicities is something that's required to foster a successful relationship?
I would say it's really more for your survival, because if you are the only white guy on set and there's people with guns and stuff, and you just really need to fit in and just be chill with it.
Mm-hmm. You're from the Ukraine, right? Do you feel like being
you definitely gotta be able to adapt
up with American culture as a whole, and then especially not growing up with our sub?
That's what I noticed about being around white people though. When you do adapt, and I ain't gonna apologize too much, but when you do adapt in certain situations with a bunch of white people, they are more likely to start. It might just be me, but white people are more likely to start acting like you than you are to start acting like them. Because what I came to understand is this: it's not really about race, right? It's just about how we treat each other. If there's respect there, we don't need to be completely different from our normal selves for us to be able to. I knew bro. I know it's gonna sound crazy. I was in the military. They had this dude, racist as hell. Racist as hell. You should say racist shit all the time. Bro, when we got into a one-on-one environment, I was like, when I, we actually broke it down to him, talked to him. There's a lot of shit that he didn't even understand, but we was able to have that conversation because there was respect. Because there was actual respect there. We knew that there were certain lines that I wasn't gonna cross, certain lines that he wasn't gonna cross, because it's a respect thing. Like, that's all it is. It's not really about the way you act, in my eyes.
Do you
This
feel
shit
like that's
priority long.
influenced the way you move when you're moving between our subcultures?
My like mentality is kind of mixed because like from the age of like 13, I really started to learn English. From that, I really learned a lot. Like I really got the American like mentality more, and basically like my mentality is like mixed because like in Ukraine, if we see a black person, we call them the N-word, and from our side, it's not offensive. Like we say it not from a offensive way. But some people can because, you know, like you don't see a black person there.
I can understand that because I went to a school that was predominantly black when I was growing up. And when I first saw the first white kid, I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was a white girl with like red hair, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I understand that, like, when a white person comes to a predominantly black group, then you're going to try your best to adapt to our culture, to be like, okay, hey, I get along with you. This is my way of like telling you, like, hey, I'm like extending an olive branch, basically. So, yeah.
Personally, not to sound triggered, but I just don't like the notion that you're becoming a black person by pretending to be hood or adopting a hood mentality,
like
because not all black people are hood, not all black people are ghetto. I understand what you're trying to say, and I don't know if it's a language barrier, so I don't want to like come at you like you're saying something racist, but I just really am anti-black people being defined as ghetto and hood, because there's a lot of classy black people out there.
That's a fact.
There's a lot of intelligent Afro-Americans.
I ain't gonna lie. In my eyes, none of that shit matter. None of that shit matter. I'm gonna keep it a buck. In my eyes, that's the problem with society. It's always a better or worse comparison. When really and truly, we all the same. We just got different things that we see as important. Like it's that's the thing. Like if you really look at the root of everything, that's the only thing that make people different, is that we look at the different things that are important. Like I might think that I'm better than somebody with a lot of a $1 billion lifestyle, but a person with $1 billion lifestyle might look at my lifestyle and be like, keep in mind, I'm not doing bad for myself, but they might look at my lifestyle and be like, that ain't shit. Somebody that's like poor might look at my lifestyle and be like, oh my God, that's incredible. Somebody in the same token, somebody who's walking on the side of the fucking street with no shoes on might look at my lifestyle and be like, that motherfucker ain't better than me. It's all about what you see as important. Like, I think people forget that we are all people. If we see things as important, we're gonna treat it as such.
Out there, and it really like depends on like where you grew up in.
Also, if you are hood and ghetto like me, you can also be all those things too.
White people also experience race-based prejudice.
Since you guys probably don't know, I have lived overseas. I've lived in Asian countries. In Japan, there are certain restaurants and stuff like that you could walk into. You can see people dining in the restaurant, and they're gonna tell you they're closed just because you're white or you're American. So the idea that white people can't really experience racism kind of contradicts the very definition of the word, because the definition of racism is prejudice based on one's skin color. White people do experience it, but to a different degree.
While I do think that our white brothers and sisters in Christ can experience racial-based prejudice, I don't want to overlook the nuance of that prejudice, because it's not necessarily rooted in anything systematic or anything that's gonna actually have long-term effects, knock on wood, that are gonna like debilitate a race or inhibit their chances or possibility of succeeding or being seen as better than POC.
I definitely think it's a non-issue, racism towards white people, especially specifically, I want to, like, in America. I don't think it's something that needs to be highlighted as an issue that is a constant threat to lives, day-to-day well-being, progress and success in life in general, because it's not something that's going to inhibit you. and you don't have to walk out your door and think I'm about to be attacked like people of color do every single day.
I do agree that white people haven't been put through centuries of hell like black people were, but prejudice towards white people 100% exists. Like whether it's in TV, if it's in movies, if you watch predominantly black media, there's a lot of roasting towards white people that if it was the other way around, that would never be acceptable today. Then you go on social media like TikTok and you look up white people are bad. You will see videos where they're attacking white people for things that their ancestors did 200 years ago. There are societal benefits at this point for being a person of color, and that those negatively affect white people. Like if you look at affirmative action, diversity quotas in the workplace, all these different things, they lower the bar for black people, but then increase the bar for white people. However, I think where some of the issue comes is because a lot of marginalized groups and people of color back in the day went through so much worse that it's easy for us to discredit the prejudice that white people now deal with today.
I think like on an individualistic level, like yeah, white people get hate all the time. But I think if you zoom out and you look at the big picture, it's a little bit different. And like talking about like YouTube having, you know, racist content for anyone out there, it's like I would have to go and seek that out versus it like coming to me. Versus like on Twitter.
Against white people?
Yeah, I would have to like look for a video of being like, oh, people who hate white people.
I agree.
Like versus like Twitter, I don't have to
Well, let you see Dr. Umar. I ain't gonna lie, I don't know, but Dr. Umar be going hard. He be going hard. I be like, it be so ignorant, bro. He be like, man, you should never date a white woman. I'm like, bro, if a motherfucker wanna date a white woman, who are you to tell somebody they cannot date a white woman? Like, that's the most ignorant shit ever.
Very long before I see some person making some out-of-pocket comment about
and regulation being lifted so people can see that even more so.
Right.
Absolutely, that's 100% right. And even saying affirmative action, statistically and on paper, white people.
I'm just going to say my opinion. White people experience like some type of prejudice. Don't get me wrong, but it's not bad. In my eyes, it's not bad. Like, but it depends on your circumstances, because if a white person going to a black environment, he might get some eyes, people might look at him like crazy. But it's not gonna be nothing like he gonna fuck us up. It's nothing crazy. They might they might just look at you like you are somebody that's gonna be a victim 9 times out of 10, or you gonna be somebody that's gonna talk out of line. It's going to happen. This white man is going to say something out of line, or he going to say is look for it. It's almost like you have to walk on eggshells. I will say that, because if you say the wrong thing around a big group of black people, they're gonna check. Black people, we gonna check the fuck out you so quick. We so quick to check the fuck out of you that you are going to get it. It's understandable why some white people might get uncomfortable, but the reality of it is like, it's not really bad. It's not really bad. Same across with black people. Like, our thing is, we automatically get assumed that we're going to do something. We're gonna commit a crime. Like, it's more instant for everybody to look at us and be like, he's going to commit a crime. It's more instant for people to look at us and be like, he's going to say something very ignorant. But the reality is like, there's more of a reason for me not to go into a place off that image rather than you not going to a place off of your image, or a white person's image. Like, I could be absolutely quiet, and just off of the way I look, way I move, I'm already gonna get treated the ID the same way, and they go the same way across a white person. So it's like, it's all about how you behave at the end of the day. It's all about your character. It's all about respect. That's really gonna set that line right there. Like, if you know what respect is and you understand what people already like do, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta just adjust to it. Cause, for instance, I might say a joke about a big woman. that I might say inside. But if I say like a very but even then I don't say nothing like crazy and disrespectful, even when I'm by myself. But I wouldn't say, I still would adjust that to the big woman if I don't want to disrespect her. That's how the environment should always be. It's like, respect is everything. Like, we're people at the end of the day. We have feelings. We are going to move accordingly to how we feel. So you gotta understand, like, yeah, even though they deal with prejudice, we deal with prejudice. We all gonna deal with prejudice. I really think it's a part of being in America. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish we didn't see no skin color and we just judge each other off our character and what we see in the character of each other. But in the real world, people don't care. Like, like that's just the reality of it. She don't give a fuck for real. She don't give a fuck for. A lot of these people don't really give a fuck. The only people who give a fuck is like real activists, people who be outside with the sign. That ain't that many people. So with that being said, most people don't give a fuck, and you gotta move accordingly. Like, people just don't give a fuck.
Women were benefiting more from affirmative action at colleges than any other demographic. So I also don't think that's fair to say, but I definitely get what you mean. And again, I think the prejudice is still there, though.
And I will say that black people do deal with prejudice. I think every demographic deals with prejudice. There are racist people everywhere. Like, I just don't think systemic racism is an issue anymore in today's society, but I do think that there are racist people out there.
I think that there's a really important distinction. Our language is constantly evolving, and you were talking about the definition of racism. Our societal definition has changed to include a systemic part of it. And I completely disagree with this idea that people of color don't have systemic things against them still. Because the fact that we still have the KKK, the fact that we still have these things, and they are in positions of power. As long as that exists, and as long as that's a part of our country's like makeup right now, which it is, and that's our power structure, I don't feel like you can honestly deny systemic racism against the black community, which is why prejudice is so different from racism. I don't think white people can experience racism in this country, but we can experience prejudice based on the societal definitions we now use.
Being sexually unattracted to a race is racist.
Yeah.
I think
agree.
where the line gets drawn is when
I agree.
if a white
I ain't gonna lie. I agree. I ain't gonna lie. I agree to a certain extent, because there is no race. There is no race. As a man, there is no race. There is no race. No race that I wouldn't crush. And I believe every race has the type of character of woman that I like. I believe every race has that character of woman. I strongly believe that. But fuck all that. That just sexually, if you fine, you fine. Like, if you got nice thighs, a fat ass, you got a pretty face, a cute face, nice hair, natural hair, you dress very well, sexually, just me looking at you, I'm going to want to crash just by looking at you. Like, if I see that, I'm going to think it's gonna play in my mind at least once. Like, it's that's what made me shoot my shot. If I really see myself really, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be able to think that, like, as a possibility of like me wanting that. Any race, I've seen sexy Japanese, I've seen sexy Chinese, I've seen sexy Brazilian, I've seen some sexy Mexican, I've seen sexy white, I've seen sexy black, Jamaican, everything. Russian, I've seen Indian, I've seen sexy every race. There is no race I have not seen that was not sexy. I do think that's racist. I don't give a fuck what anybody say. Because, come on, bro. I just don't like it. You like, come on, bro. Like, nah, bro. Come on,
I
bro.
was sitting there swiping, and he's just like, I don't like black girls. They're all ugly. They have too big of lips. I think that's where the line gets drawn. But you can't really help what you're attracted to. Like, my fiance is Mexican, and it's like, I like him for who he is, not how he looks.
I think that we are conditioned to be attracted and to respond to.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'll keep it a buck. I agree. Like, when you heard what she just said, and she said no, disagree. Like, she just said, you're attracted to him. You have sex with him. Being sexually attracted to another race, you have sex with a nigga that you don't even think look good. But, you know, it's different for women and men. Women kind of, like, fuck with guys because of their character more than what they, you know, they have, unless they trying to run game on them. But outside of that, she's sexually attracted to him for a reason.
grow
Shit,
up
it's your
in the right way.
boyfriend,
So
so you sexually
homogeneously,
attracted
we
to him.
grow up with people who look like us. So when you move into dating and things like that, statistically, you're going to be attracted to people that you grew up seeing, right? However, when you are discrediting a certain race for whatever reason based off their ethnicity, meaning everybody who
That's me personally, though, bro. I do think there
did
ain't no
exist,
race
is
that don't
existing,
look
will
good.
exist from that
I'm
race,
just-
you are not feeling anything.
What?
Q, I don't control your body or your thoughts, but on one hand, I'm like, let's maybe unpack that. Also, where's my camera? To all the girls that's putting this in their bios, that's none of our business. Stop doing that. Keep that to yourself. We don't want to hear that.
For me, I think that like we're talking about conditioning and how we grew up, right? If you go to like South Africa, for instance, which within some of our lifetimes had apartheid. If you grow up in that, especially as a black person, where you're constantly being mistreated by every single white person, and you're conditioned to be like, white person, no thank you. I don't think
But you don't understand how that's racist. It's a good reason to be racist, but like, it's racist. Like, like it's racist. Like, you like it's like racism is learned. It's learned. Like it's learned. So if you have a reason to be racist, just like I have a reason to have fucking triphobia. I got stung by bees. So if I see a beehive, I low key get a little freaked out. I get unbothered. I get bothered by a beehive. If I see a fucking beehive, I get bothered because I've been stung by fucking bees. I have triphobia. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
I agree,
Like,
and I did not grow up in South
it's
Africa.
a good reason
but
for me to have
however, like I
triphobia,
said,
but I'm
the
still
nickname of my
triphobic.
town was Clancy. Like a lot of my interactions growing up were incredibly racist, and I'm dating a white guy. So I totally get what you mean. I don't want to discredit black people or anyone who's had those kind of situations because it's not that they're not dating white people. It's
Yeah.
definitely, it's more like they're cautious.
I think you used the perfect word earlier. Is it conditioned or?
I was thinking about it on terms of me being a black woman. I feel like it's a lot different when it is a black woman going into dating someone that is not of their race. I can tell you from my experience with dating Hispanic men, white, whatever, they've only seen Jerry Springer and Maury. So it's like they have a whole different idea of what a black woman is.
That's racist, by the way. That's racist. Like, for me to look at him, say, all right, look at my boy. For me to look at him and say, man, he a bitch. He's a bitch because he looked like a guy that I know and he's a bitch. Or I look at him and I go, he's a great guy because he looked like my homeboy Prejudice. So he must be a great guy. Right? I'm giving him a position, and I'm portraying him, and I have a perception of him that is not him, and that's guiding my entire. I'm basing my entire decision about him on that, but without even knowing him, without having a conversation with him. I don't know him, so me to look at a girl. To keep in mind, presentation is everything. If you dress like a slut, it's alright for me to think that you a slut. If you dress, because that's a choice. That's a decision that's being made. But if you got a whole bunch of tattoos, I can't look at you and be like, she a hoe, she got a lot of tattoos. I can look at you and say, you have a lot of tattoos though. I don't know what your tattoos mean. I don't know what's going on with your tattoo. I don't know. It's like, I'm having a perceived notion on you without me even talking to you. That's what fuck up everything to me. That's what make it racist. So if you're doing it just off of skin color, like how she just said, everybody looking at her like Maury, Jerry Springer, just off the fact that she black, that's racist.
Like before my husband changed a lot, one of the comments made to me was he was afraid of me going to his house with braids in my hair because then they would assume that I was a different kind of girl instead of looking at me for who I am.
I have been denied access because of my race.
Never experienced that.
I can go anywhere, I can sit down anywhere, and I am
Never
not going to be
experienced that.
denied
I've never.
because of
I can
that.
honestly say I've never experienced that in my life. Now, I may have had a comfort level that was more. I've been more embraced, but I've been. That's on both sides. I've been strongly embraced by white people. I've been strongly embraced by black people. I've been put off by black people. And I've been put off by white people. So I don't know. It ain't. I never had a token where I was like, it's my race the reason why. Now I'm gonna be honest, in Louisiana, you might have a lot of cases where you feel uncomfortable because you're surrounded by white people and they let you know they unverbally let you know like I don't really want you by me they put that off strong. It's just how it is in Louisiana. But if I also went to North Carolina, I also went to Texas, I also went to different places. And places in Louisiana too. In the 337, they less racist in the 337 than they is in the 225. If you know, you know. But like I said, they less racist, so they are willing to actually start a conversation with you in these different places that I went. But they also have places where they let it be known that yeah, you welcome here, but I don't fuck with you. Like I don't want you by me.
How I look, and I would be ignorant to not admit that.
And I'm going to counter that with we are justifiably not let into spaces. And our whiteness takes away access to things like powwows. And there's an island in Hawaii that's only for natives or for like safe spaces for black communities or whatever else. We are justifiably denied access because of our skin.
Period. We love the nuance.
The thing about Hawaii, though,
Yeah.
Hawaii is stolen land. I believe that they have every right to be able to say only we're allowed to go here because that
Justifiably.
was theirs. It was literally stolen land that was stolen by white people.
Yes. No, but that's why
Yeah.
it's justifiably, it's still denied access.
Yeah.
But it is justified.
Man, that little white girl that cat fight, you know, let snow bunny cat, let the snow fall.
100%.
Yeah, it's denied access.
Let the snow fall.
Like in my own day-to-day life, I could go anywhere. I can sit down anywhere. I can go read a book in a library. I can go to Starbucks. People don't fear me because of how I look, and so they don't feel the need to be like, you can't be here.
But like in your day-to-day life, are you being denied access? Like, are you trying to go to that island? That they
No.
won't let you? Okay.
Then I think that's a really good question.
Like,
Has it happened? I guess. Because, like,
would
are you
say
seeking
yeah.
those spaces then?
I'm not necessarily seeking them. If I am already aware that this is like, hey, this is for us, not for you. I'm not gonna show up and be like, yeah, but like, I'm a cool white person. But there are spaces that we are not allowed, and I think that's okay.
No, it is okay. But if you're not actively seeking to be part of those circles, you're not being denied access to them.
I will agree with that.
Sure, and I can say that maybe those are not the best examples, but like I think especially because my social circles are predominantly people of color, there are definitely things where they're like where I've had them be like, this is not a conversation for you, and I'm like, okay. I have had those.
I ain't gonna lie, unless you have like you as a person, you haven't been denied for just your race.
Experiences. I'm okay.
You can't
with
really
them. I wanna
speak
be
on
clear.
this
Like,
because
I
like
think there should be.
some people don't
spaces
like you just because your
that
character.
aren't
Like
for
some people
me,
don't like you
and
because
that
you
is
don't mix
okay.
well with them, or they don't like you because
But
you're
they've
honest.
existed and they've
Everybody
been
got their
okay.
reasons why they
I
don't
have
like
just
somebody.
one really specific example.
never had
Otherwise,
somebody be
I feel
like,
like
you
in general,
black, I
I'm
don't
not
like
denied
you.
access because of my race.
never had
just
nobody
from
say
my
that.
experience, but I had
still
an
have
ex
access
whose
to shit.
stepfather was
Even though they don't like you, I still have
wildly
access to
racist,
it.
like Nazi memorabilia, like just insane individual. And I was never allowed over her house because of him. And the one time that I kind of snuck in, he was staring at me through the window. And I'll never forget that
Yeah.
in my life, the way that man was staring at me through the window and then cursed out his kids for having me in the house. That man's now in prison for doing God knows
Something.
what, but it's where he belongs.
I was looking for funding for my film, and most of them are for colored people, and I totally understand that. And there is like not many that I found that are.
Any white person that's watching this and you have watched this video this far, leave a like, because I'm about to give you game on how to never be in a situation and have every black person not fuck with you. Never be in a situation and say colored. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I promise you, I understand y'all like you want a free speech. Say free speech. But that's the same thing as me saying going into a Mexican party and calling them wet. Like, it ain't as offensive, but it's like, it's kind of offensive, like a little bit, like just a little bit. Just don't do it. I promise you. Like motherfucker might not say that, but motherfucker gonna look at you different. I'm going to look at you different, bro. I'm be honest. I'm going like you be like colored. I'm going to look at you different. I don't give a fuck what you doing. I don't give a fuck how cool of a person you is. I'm gonna slightly look at you different off of you saying color. Like I promise you.
For like everybody, my mind would be like, damn, I cannot do it. Like I cannot apply to it. But from the other side, I understand that the black community.
Don't do it, bro.
You guys need to get your movies out there.
If anything, I feel like I've been invited too much. You know, I feel like I'm kind of like a undercover agent where I'm like because I talk a certain way or because I present myself a certain way, they assume like, oh, I can say this in front of you.
100%.
And I'm like, what do you say?
Token,
You know, I've never really been.
No, I'll say that too. I've been
Yeah.
tokenized so many times.
like, I don't want
we
that.
have to have you here. We need young black representation. And I'm like, yes, I'm gonna stay home.
Yeah.
I am proud of my race. 3, 2, 1.
I will go first, and I will stand 10 toes in.
I was just being ironic to
I
stand over
think-
there.
Okay, baby. I said, please no. I tear. I cried a little bit.
I was being
think
messy.
that, like, and I'll just keep it specific to my experience of what I know. As Black Americans, we're pretty much the top culture that gets replicated, referenced. People scoot in and scoot out because they want to seem cool and interesting and stuff. And I think that that's so kind of us to like kind of like be beaten down for so long and be kind of separated from our African roots, create names for
Man, you should always love yourself.
ourselves, culture, language around our identities as
White, black, Mexican, white. Y'all better like that country music. You better love your earth. You better love it. You wanna know why? Because I love it all. I love country. I like rock. You know I like rap. Hip hop. R&B. Something up. Let me chill out. but nah, like all across the board, man. Like you should like your race. You should
Black
love yourself,
Americans
man.
and have that be a thing.
Ain't nothing but a surface
that's
level
just
thing, but it
reverberating
definitely go
across the
deep.
globe. I
It
think
go
that's
deep.
so cute. Can never be replicated. Can never be understated, and I love that about it.
That was kind of the start of my like thought process too, like just the basis of being torn down so adamantly, so regularly for hundreds of years in law even, like it is insane that we are here today to even be on camera. To even be in a
I'm
place
so
with
sad
other
what
white
we
people.
did
Like,
to you.
It is a
Bitch,
beautiful
you don't
thing
care.
that we have been able to
You don't care.
flourish in such
You do not care.
like literal filth.
Goddamn, well, you don't care. But you know, I'm in the white. I ain't like, hey, I ain't gonna lie, white. Nah, they like white boys too, but you know how many white women be like when they find out that they daughter been fucking with a black guy and they end up getting pregnant, they be like, oh my god, I'm gonna have black babies. That's a real thing. I did not think that shit was. That's a real fucking thing. Like white people be so happy to have black babies, like in their family. That's a real thing. It's a real
And
thing.
grime that our ancestors had to go through and even our grandparents had to go through. Like in my 8th grade yearbook I saw recently, it said like the South will rise again. Like, and this was 2015. So like this is such a day-to-day thing, and I am proud to be black, and it's hard to say that. Like it was hard to say that as a kid, like, or else I could be called the N-word, I could be reprimanded, and I feel so blessed to even be able to think that.
Everybody needs to be
I don't
proud
mind
of
not
their
being
race
like me and
and
myself.
stop this like racist bullshit, because like you could be green, red, black, white, Hispanic, like it doesn't matter.
I agree with like what you're saying, because my own personal belief is that at the basis of who we are is that we're all just people. We're not a skin tone. But because of those before me, I now have to fight back against the idea that all white people are racist. I remember being in 4th grade and learning about the Holocaust for the first time and saying, I don't want to be German anymore. Meanwhile, my mother's whole family is German. American history, you look at things like slavery, you look at things like Jim Crow laws, segregation. There is so much awful stuff that has happened and is still happening in closeted ways that I cannot be proud of the way that I look.
Yeah, for me, like, I am.
So you judging your race off of something that has nothing to do with you. That is the That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. That's like me saying I don't like black people because they weren't entrepreneurs as slaves. You know how dumb that shit sounds?
Proud of who I am, like who I grew up to be, like I like who I am. But like, if I were to say I'm a proud white man, like I don't even know what that means. Like, there have been 0 racial hurdles in my life. Now, like, I'm a proud gay man because like I've had to go through shit to get to where I am.
Let me tell you,
now.
gay.
And you know, even to that point, so much of queer culture comes
I'm
from
be
black
honest.
culture.
I'll be honest, I couldn't tell he was gay. I could tell he was gay. It was kind of questioning in there, but I couldn't really tell. He looked like he get bitches.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think he did.
I want to be proud of the things I've done, the people who I've touched, whose hearts I've opened up. I feel like it's beyond our race. I feel like what it is our experiences that make our light shine through. So that's what I'm proud of, actually. Yeah.
I think that there's a really big difference between being proud to be black and being proud to be white. So being proud of your culture, beautiful thing. Like be proud to be Ukrainian. I'm proud to be Slavic. The black community is different, and the reason it's different is because their culture, specifically black Americans.
Why you on that side then?
Like stripped away from them when they were brought over here. So then the culture became being black American. Like the race became cultural.
I mixed that up.
So
Sorry
it's,
about
no,
that.
yeah. But like,
Yeah.
so I think that there's a really big difference between like I am proud of my people are Slavic versus I am proud of my race. It just gets convoluted because black Americans, the race has become the culture because the culture was stripped away.
I also think oftentimes when you talk about white pride versus black pride, oftentimes black pride is rooted in like love and like perseverance of like culture, customs, language, and things like that. And white pride is often rooted in like black hate, Latin
Facts.
hate,
Facts.
Asian hate. So I think that's like
Only in America. Only in America. But even then, we cannot lie. The only thing they really seemed like they had on some real shit was country music. Like, I swear, it's really seen because natives had so much when it came down to religion. When it came down, I feel like white people ain't have shit but hate. Like, in religion, only thing they really had was country music, and country music, they liquor and get downs, like way back in the day. It's like, that's what I remember. Because everything else was war. I swear. Like, and sex. They had sex. They did some, but that was low key black people had, like, you know, it's, we just got a lot of shit when it come down to being black. It got a lot to, like, just being black in general. It got a lot to come down to just, we really always knew how to have fun. Like, that was just always, I think that's the reason why we got put into slavery. Like, cause nigga, we was not we was over there ass naked dancing and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure we wasn't ass naked, but we was with our chests out. Women had their titties out. That's tribes way over there. Was just living life, having fun. Even now, they still the same way. They still got some of the tribes over there that's just they just known for hunting, having fun, and having sex. Like, that's literally like what they do. They have fun doing everything they do. We don't really care. Like, we don't really care about a lot of that. That's just embedded in us to make fun of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't take nothing too serious. People around us be taking shit serious, and we just be like, I don't really give a fuck. It's just how I be.
an interesting.
The more, honestly, the more you care, the more you care about shit. That's kind of the black culture thing. Like, black people don't care. Like, we don't care about a lot of shit. White people don't care either, but they'll at least act like they do. Black people don't act like they care. That's kind of like the difference, the differentiator of a lot of things. They like, you get to a point where we really don't care. Like, it's just we don't care. Like, and it come down to that because we're not really focused on the shit that we should care about. Sometimes we just focus on having fun. Like, that's a lot of black people. That's white people too. I ain't just saying it's a black people thing. It's definitely like just an overall society thing. But our race is known for that. Like, it's known for
nuance should not
Yeah.
overlook.
No, and I think that's such an important point. I think there's a difference between like, I'm proud and therefore I'm better versus I am proud of what we have overcome.
Yeah, and then the whole idea of white pride started with people who think the Confederate flag is a personality trait. So how can I be proud of that?
I'm not saying that this applies to any of you, but I meet a lot of white people, particularly white liberals, who will actively say that they're ashamed of being white. And that is wild to me, because how can you look at your past and because, yes, your race did terrible things in the past, but you shouldn't define yourself as that. If anything, you should look at that and reflect.
So do you think white people should be proud to be specifically white?
See, I think that's a really nuanced question when you're white, because I think you guys had the valid point of ethnicity is different, because like white isn't a collective culture in the way that black is, because black people have been grouped together and have a similar experience. But like white, like Italian American, you should definitely be proud of being Italian American. You should be proud of being Slavic American. You should be proud of your lineage. But just to say, oh, I'm proud to be white, like, yeah, that has a weird connotation to it because it's not a collective culture. But what I really want to emphasize is that you should not be ashamed of being white in the way that a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should.
Okay.
You
At that point, it's on you.
I don't think you should be ashamed of being white, man. Like, nobody should be ashamed of who they are. Like, you're not perfect. You will never be perfect. Accept it and love yourself for your imperfections. Love it about yourself. I ain't saying embrace it. If you know it's fucked up, it's fucked up. But love it. Love yourself regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I got for y'all, man. All right, this content is long as fuck. So I'm going to say leave a like down below. And if you like this type of content, subscribe.